Great day, Coach Mad Hatters, Urbanites, and Bravehearts. And welcome to installments. What is this? What the installment for? Well, the 90-day journey by heart. We are doing installments day, and I had it written down. You all will have to forgive me for the scatterbrainness. Okay, so this is installments. The installment for days 20 through 46. And let me apologize to you now for having it be such a huge gap in between installments um, during this journey. But as I have often had to remind folks, is that this journey is not just for YouTube. Like, I'm actually walking the journey. So my 90 days, me experiencing these 90 days come first. And then my ability to not only record, but gather some of the things that I will be speaking about. Because as I've mentioned quite often, it makes no sense for me to get up here and just talk without aim. Now I'll ramble. I will. I'll get the rambling, but to not have anything gathered. So, um, with that said, I have organized some good stuff that we will unfold during this installment. First, I would like to say Happy New Moon in Scorpio. Um, some interesting things I am finding out about a new moon in Scorpio. And so let me read what I have gathered to usher in this particular installment, and then we're going to pull cards. Um, Not a lot of cards, but just to set the tone. I'm curious to see what the cards have to say to us, because I believe they have something to say today. So the new moon in Scorpio is all about rebirth, resetting, and starting anew. It's all about saying goodbye. And it's weird when I say it because we like to think goodbye as just a simple sentiment. But I think that there is a such thing as a goodbye and a bad bye. Because all byes, bye bye, all bye byes are not good. So the ushering in this new moon invites us to say the good byes. Like, it was nice to have you here, and I'm at peace with saying bye, good bye, goodbye, bye, 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 good. Trying to make sense of the difference to say, regardless of saying bye, we must say bye, but it's a good bye bye. There's a ramble to whatever is no longer resonating as life realigns. A new day's rising and a newer story unfolds. This is the primal energy of the phoenix rising from its ashes. Welcome in this energy. We are often afraid of death or the content and the context that has traditionally surrounded it. But as I've said over the last several months, uh, there is a new energy that is ushering in, that is inviting us. I know in previous recordings it sounded more like the energy would be demanding us. I'm finding out as the days go by that it's more of a softer energy that invites, um, that friendly reminds, um, and serves as a comfy companion to the newness of one's evolutionary self. In order for the ultimate newness to embrace us, bestow itself upon us, it's very important that we die to some things. It's very important that we lay to rest some things, that we detach, unlatch from some things. I often say that the road, mm, the paths, the paths that I am traveling have been traveling for roughly, I'll say, consistently, concentratedly over the last 24 months has literally been to save my life. So it has to be in the realm of identifying, having the courage to face off with certain things and identify that no longer is in alignment for my greater good. Being able to detoxify and let go of certain things, especially when those things have been interweaved in your entire existence since childhood. So, my dances with fear and um, evaporating esteem. And I'll just, yeah, I like that. Evaporating esteem versus it being vacant or no esteem. Because my esteem ebbs and flows. It all depends on the situation and the circumstances. Um, I'm getting out of it having anything to do with those outside of me. But for a long while, it had a lot to do with folks, people, human beings, and how they viewed me or what they thought about me or what it is that they had to say about me. Um, Failing to realize that as a human being, you judge stuff. We judge stuff as human beings. That's what we do. That's what humans do. We judge. We judge everything. Like that's how we maneuver in the world. Um, and even with that said, let me just sidebar real quick. The perception one may have of you is not going to always be correct. The judgments that people hold with regards to you, unless it is challenged, unless something happens where the opportunity arises where their perception of you is challenged, it may remain the same. Even if you have changed second upon every second for the last 10 years. They have not seen you in 5 to 10 years, let alone had a decent conversation with you. And so um, they've been missing the opportunities to reevaluate their judgment of you. On the flip side of that, where it gets a little choppy, a little dicey, is that we become emotionally invested in wanting to know what others think or feel and be totally dismissive of how it is that we think or feel about ourself, about self. Because at the end of the day, that is what truly matters. How you feel, how I feel about myself. The more and more I travel this journey, the more and more I am discovering that my thought patterns actually have cognitive powers. Like, if that's even like the correct powers to rearrange, redesign, um, my entire makeup, actually. My cognitive powers have the ability, the capability to rearrange my entire existential grid. My thoughts can make me well or make me sick. They can change my reality and ripple into someone else's reality. My beliefs or non beliefs, both weighing as equally important, have the wherewithal to change or not change certain elements and components of reality, and not just my reality. Because if I believe something, that belief has the power to provoke me to do something or not do something, and vice versa. My non beliefs have the power to have me act or not act. Um, and that's just talking about me. And there are billions of humans. And that's how this thing ebbs and flow with energy. Um, and it's so multi-dynamic. And I've been experiencing um, certain segments of various conversations where folks are saying that it doesn't have to be as complicating. And I beg to differ. Yes, there are certain things in life that we can simplify, but there are certain things in life we cannot. And the result of simplifying certain things is how we got to the lopsidedness we are dealing with now. It's because to encourage each individual into its own individuality, then that would complicate society to the point where there would be no trends and traditions. There would be no room for plush and propaganda because everyone would serve as their own investigator. They would be moving to the beat of their inner drum, regardless of all the drum beats on the outer fringes of their existence. And that's just the kryptonite of society at its base, at its fundamentals. Everyone pursuing the uniqueness of themselves. It would dispel group thought. It would take away from all of this thing, the and I call it a thing because it really has a mind of its own. This whole public relations realm and what that has historically been able to achieve. Um, and bearing witness to the delicate manipulations of thought, perception, belief, like those nuances of the narrative that we hardly ever tune into and shine a light upon. I, I often wonder, like, will we ever have a life without commercials? Regardless of how you feel about it, how I feel about it, if commercials were not so important with regards to mental and emotional programming, commercials would not be so high and they would not be necessary. I hate commercials. And I'm talking about in the traditional sense. I loathe commercials. I won't watch anything that interrupts my engagement with commercials. I don't need Target telling me nothing. I don't need Tide telling me nothing. Like I can go and explore inside the store what it is that I want. Now, for you to send me updates about certain uh, cost contours or product changes or service updates, I can understand that. But to try to get creative to persuade me to purchase, and so what I'm hoping is that within this new moon, as we as individuals are dying to certain things, we as a collective shall be dying to certain things. And having the advertisers tell you to come buy their shit is beginning to be unmannerable to me. If I cannot receive a podcast or a interviewed segment or whatever else that may be produced audibly or visually, if I may not partake in that set without being interrupted by somebody telling me to buy something, slowly but surely, um, okay, I say yeah, because I'm running out of words for that. Uh, this, and I know that it's time to move on because I'm grappling. I'm trying to find the words to the correct, the politically correct. I'm hardly ever politically correct, so let me think of something else. But the more appropriate words to express how I feel about fucking commercials. And I wonder if the 12 years in marketing had anything to do with this, as well as the research of Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud. Like they really tapped into the psychology of consumerism and they debowed the shit out of the knowledge they found out when they unraveled the mysteries of consumerism, human consumerism. Yeah, because there are other kinds of consumerisms, and I don't even know if my mind is going to allow me to like tap into that right now. Probably not. But there's also like emotional. There is an incredible emotional component to when we buy, how we buy, who we buy from, why we buy, how often we buy, if in fact we can buy. Um, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about paper clips to properties. And I'm contemplating all of this because we have officially entered into the season of new birth, rebirth, resurrection, the dying to things that no longer serve or resonate. And we're on the brink of a season that will run so many into debt as if it's necessary. This isn't even necessary debt. And I'm getting the notion to just ramble just a little bit about how I feel about the Christmas consumerisms. Ask yourself if in fact you do, if you participate in Black Friday, ask yourself why. What's the significance? What's the reasonings that prop up your indulgence? And the product being on sale does not count. I would like for you to also engage in the inquiry about why you give the gifts you give to who you give them to. Are you a good gift giver? Have you done the investigation to what it is that you're giving this person? And I ask this question because my mom used to get all sorts of gifts. And I think I mentioned this in another video. All sorts of gifts that would just sit in the smallest bedroom in her house, unopened for years. And I used to always ask her, Mom, why don't you just tell them to either not buy you something or I guess maybe become a little bit more vocal of the stuff that you like? Because this literally is a room full of wasted money. And the folks that gave you these gifts really thought they did something. Not even realizing either you don't like the color, you're not even into that, you hate that material, you can't stand that product. Like they have no clue. They have no clue. And with this being the situation for years, it always had me question about this whole gift giving thing. Because my mom was into stuff. And it is just isn't my mom. She's just like prime example during this time because it used to be hilarious. You know, it's like literally after all the company was gone, she'd have me pile all that shit up in the room. it's like it's like tell them, nah, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. So then I started thinking from that angle that if we were a little bit more responsive to self, like would the inquiries come from the gift giver? Like is the onus upon the gift giver to say, what are you into? What do you like? What, or to just even just pay attention to the recipient and what it is that they will be receiving from you as a gift giver. Because there are some folks that I know are remarkable gift givers. Like to the point, my sister Reese, she's one of them. Like to the point where it would be, I didn't even know you were listening when I said that. Or it would amaze me, it's like, well, how did you know I wanted that? Because I heard you mention it. Woo, 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 woo. So there are, in my opinion, there are some wonderful gift givers, and then there are some horrible gift givers. Folks that just be giving gifts just so they can say they gave a gift. And it's just like, why though? Like, I guarantee you, and there are several um, real live examples that are coming to mind that they would have loved a book more so than the see, I don't want to like start calling out because different gifts mean different things to different people, but I'm just saying like whatever it is, like if you would have been just a little bit more in tune to the person, that you would have realized that the same money that you used for the gift that you actually gave them would have gone a long way for something that they are more intimately involved in. Or and when I say intimately, I know that word can stretch so many different ways. Personally, pro personally, let's say that they are pro personally involved in. Like they might want to go to the music store and get blank sheet paper. Just, just trying to throw some things out there. Like, but because you don't hold conversations with them, you didn't even know that they were playing a guitar. You know what I mean? Like those type of things, or the strap to hold the guitar, or I'm done with the sidebar. Let me get back on track. We're already 30 minutes in, going on 30 minutes in. So let's just see. Let's see if a card or two will come out, and so that we can theme this installment. Um, if not, the backup theme is what I bumped into over the last few weeks called the Gateway 2727. And so I've been investigating, researching, and developing what that actually means inside the realms of numerology. And it's been giving me some real insightful indicators, pointers, power pointers, um, with where I should be directing my attention to. So every autumn, like clockwork, I get these major urges to dig into scholarship, to um, do quite a bit of self study, as well as I like to tap into a new book, which is quite delightful for me because one of my most favorite humans on the planet. So I finally get a chance to like tap into this, which I am just so delighted um, at the trying to figure out if I'm going to. No, I'm not. Maybe I'll do an exclusive segment, a review um, on this here. But yeah. So every autumn, I like a new book. I like a few new lectures, as well as I carve out time to tap into older lectures. During this time, for the last several years, I've noticed that I get um, a consistent flow of, what can I say, reminders of some of my master teachers to tap into their work, just check in with them, see what they're doing, see how they're doing. Bobby Hemmett is one of them. Um, Brother Blue Pill, Brother Red Pill, KT the Osh Degree, Brother Rich, Black Magic 363, Brother Panic, Sister Khadijah. Um, there's Sister Myra Moss. I was about to say there's another one. Um, Dr. Joy DeGrew, David Banner. Um, Shout out to the David Banner podcast. So what? Just a day or so ago, they um, they released a podcast that's titled Death Part One, and I'm hoping that it's going to be what I'm hoping it's going to be. And the reason why I say that is, and I can't think of the name of the song right now, the compilation, but David Banner did a video with CeeLo Green. It's making me want to look it up. But it highlighted New Orleans, and it highlighted the, I gotta look it up. I have to look it up because not only was the video absolutely, positively, I have roots in Louisiana, Shreveport, um, Sprinkles. as you uh, how do I even say this? Sprinkles of lineage as you get closer to New Orleans, but definitely Shreveport into, right? So, um, and it's my dad's family. So when I saw, and it's an, hold on, uh, and the um, the video has some Magnolia. The video has some age on it. Let's see, how long ago was that? I don't know. I can't find it right at the moment. As far as when, because Revolt, that's the one I'm looking at right now, published it March 9th, 2018. Yeah, that joint fire. Like the video, the song compilation, the artist, man, straight fire. So when I first saw the video, not only did I've been riding with David Banner for a while. I can't say since his conception on the scene, but damn near close. I've watched him mature as a man. I've watched him mature as an artist. I've even watched him mature as a godfather. Like, come on, let's be real with this shit. Like, he speaks to the masses of our black men and women. But I really think that he still brings that strong divine masculine sense to the set with all of his playfulness. And that's what makes it so David Banner. Like, yeah, that's the Banner vision. So, I have my moments. I have my moments where I want to tap in and I want to see what's going on. And so this autumn, it has been magical and mystical to say the least. I have been touching base with with uh, been touching base with an element of existence that is considered mystical, magical. But like with any element, any component, any situation, there's two sides. And sometimes there are multiple sides. But to this particular coin, which is called mysticism, which is called the magical realm of self, there is a light side and a dark side. Quite honestly, Bobby Hemmett and Brother Panic are the only two that I've seen outside of Red Pill and Blue Pill that will really tap into. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not others that are doing it. Just within right at this moment, my scope of investigations only reached there. It seemed limiting. The way that I said that seems limiting. So, because of this, it will give um, good indication to why I have such a big gap in between installments. October just came and went swiftly. I'll say that just to give some clarity as to why I posted the first week of October and now posting the last week of October. Ah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Uh, okay. I'm not gonna. I'm struggling, and I probably will struggle through this entire segment. For one, still being challenged with adhering to and adhering to the call, but also dispelling the notion that I should have my shit together before I post. Before I post on a regular basis or before I begin to um, share the parts of my life that would uh, eventually be deemed teachable. To say that, how can you teach or coach or mentor folks and you ain't been through it? But the thing about it is, a lot of it I have already been through. My look at that thing. My mind just continues to say that you will not begin to manifest certain commentary until you have fully uh, disengaged from the old cycle. That you can't talk about the old cycle until you're done with the old cycle. And since I am, that's how my cards coming out today. They gonna just continue to flip out on the shuffle. But that's good, cause that means we have like 3 cards now, and so yeah, I think we can leave with this. I don't need to pull out no more. We good. Um, and it'll serve as the thing. So okay, so we'll take. So it's the AMCVP challenge, and it's to seek out a course of action that leads to one's newer art, music, craft, vocation, and poetic justice. Not sure if you can see it, um, but I have something that's called the AMCVP. Just added the T, um, and it is a context of those. It is a context that is directly related to those inside art, music, craft, vocation, poetic justice, and tarot treasure troves. Those that indulge in those realms, whether it's personal or professional, um, could do themselves a favor by seeking on different levels, seeking their art on a different level, not necessarily aiming to master, because there's so many levels before you get to mastery. So it's in between novice and mastery that I'm speaking about, the liminal, like the betwixt part of it. Within that are secessions as well. So the challenge is to, you here, let's push it to here. That's what this card means. It's let's just take it one more notch, or maybe 2 more notches, and start to delve into that newness. See what that be like. See what that feels like. Research and develop. Investigate the god Oshun. Oshun. Yeah. Oshun comes up a lot. Doesn't matter what season it is. I'm provoked to investigate the goddess Oshun quite a bit, so that's the reason why this card is here in the first place. So journal a love letter to the goddess of purity, love, fertility, and sensuality. And I'm telling you, like, I did not pre-select these cards. These three just fell out, and it's just wonderful how that is lining up. That's pretty decent. Last card, excuse me, to set the tone, journal fitting. So investigate the magician, the message, the master. Journal all keynotes of self expression and identification to any of them. So there are moments within our year where we will serve as the magician, we will serve as the messenger, and we will serve as the master. Serving as any of these will level you up. It'll level you up. And serving as the magician does not necessarily mean with what we traditionally think as magic tricks. Mediating a situation is magical. Diffusing conflict is magical. Calming your inner beast is magical. Bringing revelation to uncertainty is magical. Having a message. And it doesn't even have to be like these elaborate, profound messages. It's, I went through this, I discovered this. And most often we do get discouraged from serving as the messenger because most folks want to pay more attention to the messenger instead of the message. I think that will probably serve as one of my more prime reasons why um, I hesitate, but I already know that I'm being called to transmute certain messages for those that serve as magicians and masters. So I have to keep pushing. I have to keep pushing regardless of how crappy the flow of the commentary comes out. Um, Most often, I say when I sit in front of someone who's speaking and I know they are delivering a message, I'm just going to patiently sit through it because 9 times out of 10, if I stop judging them and start truly, truly paying attention to the message, I walk away with quite a bit. I walk away with quite a bit. So now would be a great time for us to take a listen to the revised serendipity, the revised um, serendipity prayer that I want to say I came up with it maybe about a month and a half ago. And so I re I revamped it. And I think I'm just going to read it like this is. um, to open up the Serendipity Gateway, as well as take good advantage, authentic advantage of um, the Gateway 2727, which I will elaborate more on in just a moment. Okay, so greetings and salutations, brave hearts, urbanites, and Coach Mad Hatters. Welcome to the Serendipity Gateway to our 90-day journey by heart, and a Phoenix Grand Rising to the presence of my mahogany wood ancestors, gods, and goddesses of divine trifecta and interventions. I ask that we travel alongside and help to ignite and activate each one's clarity and creativity so that we may know the truth by the way that it feels, especially whenever it resonates with the highest good of our uniqueness and wholehearted individuality. I thank you kindly for those enlisting to my love team and the courage and listen to my love team and the courage to provide them with the leveling up through my tender transparencies and authentic expression. Please keep me tuned in to the frequencies of your heartbeat and intuitive rhythms. And please clue me into the realms of the bigger picture so that I may accurately interpret the 6 degrees of our stories, community closeness, affinity affections, and divine timing. Thank you, my inner court. I greatly appreciate your guiding presence. The CMHU Coaching Conclave is now in session. Ashe. And so it's still in draft, but I wanted to um, just share that with you to let you know that it is a work in progress and that we are making major moves to officially incorporate it into or officially incorporate it as a fixture of certain audio and visual segments. With that said, we are going to move into the Gateway 2727, and we are going to talk it out. We're going to talk it. We're going to talk out what that means, as well as um, give you some insights around the the building of our Dharma Club and the Coach Mad Hatter's Clubhouse learning opportunities that will be coming up, coming down the pipe. Um, I just want to take a look. I want you to take a look at this real quick. This is the pre-write. This is the pre-written draft to what is coming soon. I know you can't necessarily see all that's written, but just so you can, just have an idea of what's actually going on over on this end as we prepare to close out 2019 and begin getting acclimated with 2020. Sometimes I want to think about 2020, and sometimes I'm so intimidated to do so. 2019, you know what? Let me just back it up for a minute. 2017, 2018, 2019. I am a Capricorn sun. Ever since Saturn came home, 2017 was a really, really hard one. 2018 eased up a bit, but it was still 2019 has eased up a bit, but it's still. And even as I sit like before you 2, 3 days before November, which will officially make it only 2 months left in the year, it has me very tender, to say the least. I am intrigued and encouraged on one side, in awe, right, in the meridian, in the balance of things, and intimidated, and sometimes a bit afraid on the far end of things. Um, I have had to keep my thoughts intact, um, and I'm very new to that. I'm very new to being aware and engaging my thoughts to minimize this thing called subconscious implied consent. That somewhere deep down inside, if I do not engage the thought, engage the emotion, um, have it state its case why it is within my space, and allow it to stay or direct it to get the fuck, that somewhere embedded within the deep core of my being, it will sit, and it has the power to do whatever. Do whatever it's going to do. Excuse me. I am still in the midst of trying to clear up and clean out all of the shit that I allowed to sit without giving direct attention to it. Old beliefs, old patterns, old habits, old grudges, old inconsistencies, old worries. Yeah, yeah. And so I believe I was listening to Queen Cup Tarot, I believe, during her, I think it was during the full moon live that she did a couple weeks ago. And the number 27, the coordinates, so the number 2727 came out. I want to say that it was her. It's escaping me right now, but it feels like it was her. And so 2727 continued to stick in my mind. And it didn't stay there consistent, like constantly. It would leave and pop back in, leave and pop back in. And so the last time that it did that, I wrote it down. And I was like, okay, it keeps popping back up for a reason. And week before last, I spent an entire 7 days at my cousin's. And so I labeled that um, the R&R retreat. My cousin's name is Nikki, but I like to call her Nickelodeon. So I called it the R&R retreat at Nickelodeon's. Um, I have a thing for 7 days. Within the 7 day cycle, certain things can happen. Because it was such an impromptu visit, and I had no intentions of staying the entire 7 days, but being the host of serendipity and divine intervention, we both kind of figured, like, yeah, this doesn't usually unfold and happen like this. Like, something's really going on. It had me take note. My journal entries were different. My awareness about said journal entries were different. The unfolding of certain maturities and ahas were going down on a major level. And so I was there October 7th through October 13th. So I was there from Monday to Sunday. And then after that, I get back home. And so I'm trying to process all of the notes and everything that I gathered from being there and, just some of the things that was revealing itself to me in conversation with her and how we were tapping into certain things and moving with certain things and unraveling certain things and building certain things. I get home and I bump into a segment with Unconditional Tarot, and Nadia was talking about the extended. Like, it's okay for the extended, whatever the extended may mean to you, that moments of the extended is actually divinely driven. And that when you're in those moments of extended, like, take stock in that. Understand what's going on with that. Understand what's going on with you while engaging that. And of course, I am to uh, journaling the journey. So then, gather your keynotes, stick them in your journal for safekeeping. Um, I'm almost positive that if you, not if, but when you go back over, when you review those notes, when you begin to tap into your reflections, something different is going to emerge. You're going to see something different. I saw something different. Right after that, the extension was the also again impromptu visit back at Nickelodeon's the following Sunday to Wednesday. And so it made me giggle because that felt like my extended R&R retreat. And so I buckled down, took more notes, tried to stay centered so that I could grab hold to the messages that were coming in for me that at that time felt, but now has been confirmed, will be utilized as certain instructions to how I maneuver the next 60 days. Sometimes I wish I could just have a 3D conversation, a personified conversation with Saturn. I wish that Saturn would come and personify right across the table so that we can have like a very strict dialogue with regards to myself, especially. Um, but just the affirming, the clearing up, the confirming of certain things that I am viewing as signs. Just confirm the signs. The signs confirm the signs. Or Mercury, because remember, I am Virgo moon, Virgo ascending. Let me tell you. Let just I wish I had a bell like House Ocean, like Lulu. Thinking about my daughter, uh, 3 or 4. It hasn't been a week. It hasn't been a full week. So BB came across my mind with regards to her classes and how she's maneuvering through this semester, and she is beginning to step into what I always knew was going to be her lady leadership. And if you ever have the privilege um, of maybe her sitting in on one of these, and you will see what I mean when I say not only does she bring the sunshine in, but I knew she was going to step into her lady leadershipness because she's a Virgo and she's a Virgo sun. And so the other day I was with thinking about my double whammy with my Virgo moon, Virgo ascending, and it popped into my head that with my daughter being the spinoff, if you will, I can't think of another word right now, the offspring of me, that her Virgo sun, my Virgo moon, my Virgo ascending, something with Mercury and communications is going on here. And part of her, part of her learning Summit over the last several semesters has included some form of a class involving communication. And this particular semester, in one of her classes, she was dubbed the group's leader, which means she was thrust into having to build the awareness of being professionally responsible for others and how to lead the team and what needs to be communicated within the team so that the assurances and the indications of movement and progression, you know, is apparent, or you be able to soon identify when it's absent, that kind of thing. Because I went into the wonder of someone, and I don't know if it's possible, but someone being a Virgo sun, Virgo moon, Virgo ascending. And I know that probably seems a little weird because it's like, I didn't say it had to make sense, okay? I'm just saying that this is what was, because come on, me in one embodiment, there's a Virgo moon and a Virgo ascending. Like, okay, is there a Capricorn sun and a Capricorn moon and a Virgo ascending? You know what I mean? Like, just wondering about the certain dynamics of one's, or the probability of one's moon, sun, moon, and ascending, sun, moon, and rising. My Virgo moon and my Virgo ascending still baffles me, the fact that they're both Virgo. Like it's the double whammy in Mercury. Saturn and Mercury are the only two planets I have to contend with when I send up inquiries about certain existential uh, reasonings about me being here. I am still very much a novice in the language, especially the love language of planetary involvement and infusions and archetypal embodiments and things of that nature. So I'll keep you posted. But yes, it was an incredible. I don't even know what it was, other than the thought popped in. So together, me and my daughter make up the Virgo Sun, Moon, and Ascending. Um, so yeah, I mean, communications at its best, and I have to say, even right now, without her have mastered her communications mechanisms, I'm quite proud when she speaks. I'm quite proud of how she calls things into existence. Um, I'm still working with her to understand that she is a queen of Mercury, and so using her words a little bit more wisely, especially when you're angry. I had to learn the hard way about that. Just really not taking into account how powerful our words are, times three or four that, all depending on your planetary archetypal involvements or infusions. I don't know. I'm grabbing for words right now, but I'm hoping that I'm not losing those that are meant to get this message from me. But we like to ping pong words without, and we like to dismiss the power of them without really investigating its weight, um, especially upon those that speak clearly and precisely, and how there are certain coordinates that can bind you or free you, whether you're talking to yourself or to someone else. So, I guess all of that, the my excitement with not finding out, but making the connection between our Virgo Xness and our Mercurial endowments, and how we ought to be responsible for such treasure. as a human being within the third dimension going into 2020. So I have coined this particular gateway the Golden Goat Gateway. And not goat as in sea goat as in Capricorn, but goat as in capital G, capital O, capital A, capital T, greatest of all times. Time meaning this particular epoch, the greatest within this epoch. And I did that for what I'm about to read to you now. Because I went and I researched 2727 as an angel number. And of course, when you do such things, all sorts of details will pop up within your search criteria. And so this is what I gathered. Remember that one's existential concerns, considerations, and affirmations actively imply the viewing and grounding or flying toward that which proves the trajectories of one's divine trifecta, aka one's supreme uniqueness, plus power, pleasure, principles of individuality and collective connectivities are fondly from the inside out. The keys to unlock access to the Gateway 2727 is of level 5 metaphor based on the language of love and journey. Inside the 2727 portal, we are invited to exist free from labels, including those which our possessions can give. We are to count on life by counting enjoyment plus minus disappointment slash sorrows. I put the slash sorrows because disappointment and sorrows is two different things. We are also challenged to seek the varying levels, degrees, and qualities of our talents, intellectual treasures, and trinkets. Just beyond the 2727 gateway will unfold differently for those that seek to engage the knowledge. And then I continue to write on in the blanks. The coaching accommodations through self-study and lifelong learning experiences shall drum at the core of true self slash inner court academics, delivering elevating encouragement to become more self-aware by exploring aspects of oneself with curiosity instead of judgment. And I put in parentheses, there is no right and wrong. It just is. Because we get caught up in our social conditionings and our moralistic platforms. And not only do we become righteously indignant about what, when, where, how, who, we really do begin to impose these parameters upon everyone's perception and want to deem them right or wrong according to the various judgments. When serving as one's worst critic, those judgments can become debilitating. Not taking in account to how weighty, how strong of a hold your self-talk can be to your trailblazing, to your research and development, to your progression overall. And I speak from my mistakes. The 2727 gateway energies and vibrations are of the following: the number 2 appearing twice, as well as the number 7 appearing twice, which amplifies the influence. The number 2 relates to balance, harmony, duality, peace, adaptability, diplomacy, charm, mediation by muse. We're going to talk about that. Let me write that down. We're going to talk about that extensively in a different segment. Mediation by muse. And so that you can begin to prepare for such conversation, the 9 muses of Greek mythology will be the projected, the projection. So mediation by muse, cooperations, complementary and complementary, considerations, trust of tribe, social support, and existential encouragement and endorsement. The number 7 relates to the study. Number 7 relates to study and learning, especially inner sacred, pro-personal research, plus developing wisdom, accompanied by muse mystical awakenings with rhythmic manifestations of good slash wise fortunes. I'm going to break that down um, a little bit more in the next installment. And so I believe that that is about it, folks. I was going to like really truly like dive into, but I rambled. And be wondering if it's going to. Are we going to the extended realm? Are we going to make a part 2 to this? Because we are over our hour. We're over our 60 minutes. Um, because it's still quite a bit that uh, needs to be tapped into. Yeah, because see, I wanted to unravel the the planetary infusions of each day of the week, and I believe I might have rolled it out in another segment, but it feels like it wants to be reiterated within our 90-day journey by heart. And then also wanted to tap into what I've been discovering around my own birth chart. Um, Definitely around uh, my Mercury being in Sagittarius 22 degrees. Um, and just finding that out. Not finding it out, but focusing on it had me think about all of the Sagittarius Jupiter placements within my birth chart. Because I have this thing about the all of the fire uh, elemental that has embodied or has been embodied in some very important people in my lifespan. Um, n- Not the time per se, but the fiery concentration. My mom, Sagittarius. I have twin brothers that are Sagittarius. Excuse me. But I also have a set of twin sisters that are Leos. Um, and then my best friend is a Sagittarius. I miss my best friend. I don't even feel like going into the business about all that, but I do. I miss him. Things were just weird for a while, and I couldn't cope. It was starting to seem like he ain't had no manners, like he ain't had no good regard for me. And I know he was going through some shit, but everybody going through some shit. I was going through some shit. So just kind of weird about that. Just kind of weirded out about that. But see, the thing about it is because we've been friends for over 30 years, you have to make space for certain things. And certain times over a long span like that, the the concentration will ebb and flow as far as I'm concerned. One thing that I do know, however it turns out, is that we've been friends. We've been on. We've been our friendship has been on more so than it has not. But it will be. Say que sera, sera. It will be what it will be. Um, but just a whole bunch of Sagittarian influence in and out, interweaved, intermingled. Um, Even thinking about a couple of girlfriends that I've had um, who are, sorry, who are um, within that lovable Sagittarian, incredibly jolly Jupiter influence. Now, does that mean they jolly all the time? Come on, they fire signs. Let's not get that shit twisted. I used to laugh all the time. I don't laugh no more, mainly because I miss my best friend. So things with Sagittarius right now is really, really serious. My mom passed in 2017, so there has been this whole sensitivity around me and Sagittarius. But because I study planetary archetypes as much as I do as a tool to indicate certain characteristics within relationships and engagements, and yeah, it comes up quite a bit. I'm more in tune to one's zodiacal archetypal characteristics than I am about just the minutia, the details between folk. So I can't research Sagittarius without thinking about my best friend or my mom, especially them two right now. Mainly because I don't have either one of them right now, like to be able to. And I do. Come on, let's. I mean, really, seriously. And I'm rambling, so you can go ahead and click off now. We in hang time, like all the important stuff. Yeah. So I'm just rambling right now. Thanks for joining me. If you want to hang back, come on, let's do it. But magically, I'm not out of the loop with either one of them. Like I always send my love to both of them. It doesn't matter. And this includes my brother and my girlfriends, but mainly these two, my mom and my best friend, for a lot of personal reasons that I care not to unfold here within this time and space. But um, I could like minimize the drought, and when I say drought, I'm talking about the communication drought, because me and my best friend would have these infamous conversations that were going for like 5, 6, 7 hours. And it used to always make those that know about our relationship, it would intrigue them like, what the y'all be talking about? Like, how does this happen? And then for you to be a Capricorn and him to be a Sagittarius, how does this compute? But I always laugh with the intriguing irony between me and him. So like, I just wrote down all of my personal Sagittarius infusions. And so his is a little wacky on his side too, because his niece that he loves so greatly, she's a Capricorn. And then I was the first Capricorn that he ever mingled with back in high school in the late 80s. And then years after, he gets another Sagittarius, I mean, another Capricorn girlfriend, same birthday. Go figure. And then he meets up with his son's mom, and she's a Capricorn. So just like, what in the world is going on around these parts? And so his seed, he only has one son, and he little T about 6, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. I want to, for one, he looks older than what he actually is, and so it kind of jolts me sometimes because the look in his face, yes, he's a mini version of his dad, but also because he's a Leo, so he has this lioness maturity to the way he looks. And so sometimes I have to catch myself because I've been wanting to make him older than what he is. I don't think he's 5 anymore, though. I want to between 6 and 7. Um, Vocabulary on fleet. Okay, so all of that to say that with Jupiter going into Sagittarius, at the new moon in Sagittarius, which speaking of which will be November 26th, the new moon goes in Sagittarius. And this is also around a time where, regardless if my mom was living or the last 2 years that she's passed, during this time is when I began to think about her birthday. And her birthday is December 3rd. So thinking about her birthday and how we will be doing whatever it is that we will be doing, because most of the time, me and my siblings would like to at least gather, go past there, maybe, order some food and just hang out for a while. And not having that to plan or coordinate or be involved in the last 2 years has had me feeling very tender, to say the least. And then having to remind myself that certain conversations, certain live engaging conversation, um, I can't just call her up on the phone and say, hey, guess what, or hey, listen, or whatever. um, so it's been a little weird, to say the least. So to get closer, to I call myself getting closer to the synergy, the infusion, um, by finding out where Jupiter. All this rambling, I could have went on into it and told you all of it, right? But now we're gonna do a part two. But I got my journal. It's my journal. I love my journal. But pulling out the Jupiter and Sagittarius infusions within my natal chart. Um, Wondering how I could spruce up um, this year's Sagittarius season. Um, so my Neptune is in Sagittarius at 4 degrees. I have not begun to research what that actually means, but something tells me I'm in for something. I'm in for I don't know if it's going to be a treat or not, but I'm in for something. Um, so yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and I'm gonna start analyzing my chart and just have you hold it, right. Okay, listen, it's it's done. I'm not. Yeah, let me try to push this. So thank you so much for joining me. I am going to do the extended. I don't know if I'm going to get it done today or not, but yeah, folks, it's a wrap. And so I'll catch you on the flip side. I wish you well.